Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television, live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. INEC chairman defends creation of new polling units for the country. National chairman of the Labour Party, Dan Nwayawu, resigns from position. The president orders removal of posters bearing the sign, "Bring Back Good Luck 2015, says they were put up without his knowledge. And U.S. government declares IS as single greatest threat to Iraq and the world. You can always read up more on our top stories on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. If you're on the move, then you can log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live with a mobile device. It's much easier when you download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also urge you to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS, and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos that you'd like to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. The president has directed that the Bring Back Jonathan 2015 signs and banners around Abuja metropolis be brought down immediately. President Goodluck Jonathan says the signs, which were put up without his knowledge or approval, is an insensitive parody of the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls campaign. He said while he appreciates the enthusiastic show of support for his administration, he insisted the signs make light of a very serious national issue, and that's the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls. President Jonathan also assured Nigerians and the international community that his administration remains fully engaged in efforts at rescuing the girls, and that he will not knowingly promote any action that will trivialize their plight and the anguish to their families. To our coverage of Nigeria's efforts at curbing the Ebola virus disease now, the Federal Executive Council today received the heartwarming assurance that Nigeria will soon be free from the scourge. Minister of Health, Professor Nyobechi Chukwu, who briefed Council on the current Ebola situation, confirmed that the country is experiencing a final turnaround. The professor gave statistics saying of the 19 cases recorded since the outbreak, there is no fresh case of the disease. He added that the total number of cases so far treated and discharged stands at 10, including the last 2 being the sister and wife of the Port Harcourt doctor who died.
Now, the total number of cases that have been treated in our facilities and discharged, either in Lagos or in Port Harcourt, that's in Rivers State, stands at 10. The last 2 cases to be discharged were this week. Just on Sunday, last Sunday, the sister of the Port Harcourt doctor who had died from Ebola viral disease was discharged from the isolation ward in Rivers State. Then, just yesterday, the wife of that doctor was discharged from the isolation ward in Lagos. So what it means is, as at the present time, the 2 isolation wards that have been active in Lagos State and Rivers State, respectively, are empty. We don't have anybody now we are treating actively for Ebola viral disease as at this moment. Now, when you talk of survivors of Ebola virus disease, those that have been known to have survived Ebola virus disease in Nigeria include these 10 that were managed in our wards and discharged, plus 2 who actually recovered rather spontaneously. Both of them had a short period of illness. Their symptoms were mild, but all the tests indicated that they did suffer Ebola virus disease. One of them, of course, is the ECOWAS staff who moved from Lagos to Port Harcourt and started the journey that Rivers State had begun. The other one is, of course, the one I just told you, the 19th case, fiancé to one of those who had died from Ebola virus disease. So if we are looking at total number of survivors in Nigeria from Ebola virus disease known to us, 12. But those that we managed and discharged, 10 out of the total 19 cases that have so far been confirmed in Nigeria.
Minister of Health, Professor Onyebechukwu, on the situation in the country. Well, the Ebola containment situation may be looking up for the nation, but sensitization drives are continuing across the country. Border control measures are also taking on a more serious outlook all over the nation as preparation for safe school resumptions go on. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf has more.
Normalcy has returned to the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife after the Ebola scare that sent shivers down the spines of students and the school authority. Trouble started when a female student who took ill and was being treated for malaria confessed to have come in contact with an Ebola patient in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. The public relations officer of the OAU said the female student was receiving treatment at the University Health Center. For now, she has been evacuated by the national team and World Health Organization to the quarantine center in Lagos for further investigations to confirm her status. The University Health Center has since been decontaminated by the WHO team on Ebola control.
In the course of her treatment, she decided to volunteer information about her own background, that she came from Port Harcourt and she had a kind of secondary contact with an Ebola virus victim in Port Harcourt. So based on that, so the doctor involved decided to get in touch with the director of the health center. And before then, the university authority under Professor Bamtele Mole had already set up a committee on the prevention and the eradication of Ebola, and in order to make people to be aware, and that is a professor of virology, Professor Onayade, on our campus there.
In Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, ahead of the September 22nd school resumption date all over the country, the government has released the sum of 116 million naira for the purchase of Ebola detecting equipment. This will be used to test students returning to school after their long holiday break. 13,000 teachers are said to be trained in handling the equipment, which is totally new to them. Meanwhile, representatives of the World Health Organization, UNICEF, Médecins Sans Frontières, and Center for Disease Control and Prevention came together in Rivers State to intensify efforts on containing the EVD. Speaking on behalf of the team, the director, Ebola Emergency Operations Center, is optimistic that the disease will be better managed if adequate information about it is properly presented to the public. The Rivers State Commissioner for Health has also kick-started an Ebola sensitization tour in communities in the state.
Many federal units, temperature of 38 degrees and above, they should call the emergency light. They should call the local government. We have a disease surveillance officer.
It is only when an individual comes in close contact with these patients that you stand the risk of being affected. You stand the risk of being infected by the virus, and it is very important that people have this in mind so that we now begin to reduce this misinformation.
Finally, the Nigerian Immigration Service is tracking illegal movements of migrants into the country. The Comptroller General disclosed this in Lafia, Nasarawa State, north-central Nigeria. The immigration surveillance and tracking campaign is expected to cover the border areas as the nation battles to stamp out Ebola. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Efforts at eliminating the unemployment in the country has been given a boost as the federal government has set up the Presidential Board on Job Creation. President Goodluck Jonathan inaugurated the board today in Abuja with Vice President Namadi Sambo as chairman and Mr. Tony Elumelu as vice chairman. The president asked them to facilitate employment generation across the country. describing job creation as essential elements of economic revolution. Our State House correspondent, Chukwuma Onekusi, reports.
President calls it a consolidation of the administration's effort to transform Nigeria. Rising from the council meeting that approved 10 medium-scale rice mills across the country that will cost the federal government 13.5 billion naira, as well as contracts for the construction of new transformers for the people of Maiduguri in Borno State, the president carefully assembled key members of the public and private sector to help him create jobs for all Nigerians to reduce brain drain in the country.
First, let me especially thank Tony Elumelu. We appreciate your patriotism.
He beats his chest that the country has done better in so many areas than was the situation 3 years ago, but that job creation has always been an issue that this board must help to solve.
Last year, this administration pioneered statistical analysis into the number of jobs created. Accordingly, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics determined that 1.2 million jobs were created in 2013. Although this is a good start, I'm confident that we can do much better than this. The Presidential Job Board is charged to improve on these figures as its prime mandate, and in so doing, rapidly accelerate the pace of job growth in our country by effecting the best strategies to leverage both the public and private sector. Your goal is jobs, jobs, and more jobs for our people.
The president wonders why agencies of government train young Nigerians without adequate job creations for them and charge the MDAs to key into the vision of this board.
Instead of training 100 people and none of them will get a job, train 20 and use the money for the 8 to create employment for these people. Not just how many people you trained, but how many people you have given employment through that training program. So all the departments, that's why I told Chief of Staff that he should invite all agencies of government that are into the business of training, that if you are training, don't just come and tell us we train 1,000 people, 100 people, this. How many of them are either self-employed or are gainfully employed? Of course, that is the task of this board. Their job is how are we going to create jobs for the people? And these departments of government that are into the business of training must work with them.
The chairman of the Job Creation Board and his vice responded.
Your Excellency, the Presidential Job Board, I would like to assure you, will be driven by a strong vision and clear mission, as per your statement. And the vision shall be to realize continued and sustainable economic growth in Nigeria that is rooted in shared prosperity and expanded opportunity for all.
Looking at all these transformation initiatives that you have already embarked on to create 3 million jobs in 1 year could sound to others as something very big, but I think it's totally achievable. We will, as private sector, working with our counterparts in the public sector, deploy the competencies that we have, the energies that we have, the vigor that we have, the passion we have for this country in making sure that this succeeds. We will not fail you. Thank you.
The president said that the journey in the transformation project can be made manifest when jobs are provided for the Nigerian people and called on the board members to stand by their pledge. Chukwuma Onekusi, Channels Television News.
When the News at 10 returns, Lagos State government makes more homeowners from its homes draw. Please join us again.